Barabara kabisa, hujambo na karibu katika makala ya The Football Slip. Leo Football Slip is on the road. Tuko katika jiji haswa, jiji la Eldoret, manake hivi majuzi ulikuwa ni mji, lakini sasa limekuwa ni jiji kuu, moja miji ambayo ni miji ya hadhi hapa nchini Kenya. Kwa hivyo tumepiga lundi hadi county hii ya Uasin Gishu, hususan kwa sababu ya mbio za Iten ambazo zitakujieni mbashara KTN kutoka katika eneo hilo ama mji hulo wa Iten usio. Lakini hii leo mambo yote ni soka. Na si soka tu, bali ni The Football Slip. Manake leo si wajua tena ni Ijumaa, na Ijumaa mida ya saa 4 ni The Football Slip. Sipo peke yangu, bali nina wenzangu ambao wapo jijini Nairobi. Modo wa Mrema, mambo yakoje? Uko sawa Modo wa Mrema? Daniel Karaoke.
Naona ni kama unahisi baridi Hassan ukiwa maeneo ya kule Iten. Kwani mbona unakaa ni kama unahisi baridi? Na unajua ukiwa maeneo ya nje unafaa uchangamke. Hapa studioni unachangamka zaidi ukiwa nje. Namna gani wewe bana?
Na unajua Karaoke, nilisomea huku by the high school, nilisomea huku Eldoret.
Au uko Eldoret?
By the tuko Eldoret kwanza, wewe Karaoke. Wewe mtu wa Mlima bana, tuko Eldoret kwanza.
Kabisa Hassan, hata sisi hapa Nairobi tunaendelea vyema. Leo nimeingia hapa niko na jamaa ambaye anaitwa Sedo. Yes. Unajua hapa sana nasikia mnazungumza Kiswahili sana mkiwa naye Robinson Okenye. Leo ni kama niita uipunguze ama umalizane naye. How are you doing?
I'm okay. And I think also, given that Hassan has really traveled to the Rift Valley and ushered in some of the new faces like you here,
yes,
maybe the show gonna take a different trajectory and also bring some bright and air values that people should be yearning to hear from you now that you have really been ushered in as the Robbie of today.
Robbie of today. Ndio na Kiingereza. Na unajua Robbie anapenda kunifinya sana akiwa kule nje. Nikiwa kule chini. I don't know where is he. Nani Hassan should tell us where is Robinson Okenye, and the way he was pushing you Hassan.
Robbie kwa round tu ako maeneo alikuwa ameenda kukunywa maji. Iko pile mic. Sedo by the way, Mashemeji Derby imekuwa postponed.
It's quite disappointing to see that.
And of course, after a long international, break, the leagues now resume this weekend. Some of these teams, Manchester United, wako na new coach ambaye atakuwa anaongoza kikosi cha Manchester United against Ipswich. Sijui mnaonaje nyote Nairobi? Ukoje go?
Yeah, Hassan, I think Kenya, as in soccer fraternity, it's actually been ushered into a different environment that really brings the somber mood of Harambee Star not qualifying, Mashemeji Derby not being actually bring to the latter, and everything not really happening, and also election coming today, a near fact that everyone actually has the different levels of permutation. Then necessarily that anxiety does not really know whom they will be electing as the president. But now back to the Mashemeji Derby, as we have said it. I think that would have been the value that would have cultivated whatever that we have experienced in the so-called international break, having seen Kenya really lurching out of the contention and not being able to board a plane to Morocco come next year. I think Mashemeji Derby was a kind of an activity that will have erased that and put it behind our back. But now that is not coming to the value, it seems as if Kenya will continue, Kenyan's soccer family, fraternity, will continue mourning for long before they find anything that can really wipe their tears, which is quite sad to the Kenya soccer family. And I think this is also the moment to start understanding that what is it that really making us operate like this? Does it mean that, we don't have any other study that can handle this kind of Mashemeji Derby? And if that is the case, is it the really proper time to find this club or this club to find resources so that they can own their own stadia when it comes to such occasion, so not to allow the essence of being frustrated by the government.
Najua sisi tukianza kuongea mashabiki dabi na Sedo tutaendelea hivi mpaka kesho. Just let's look at the magical 10 matches at this weekend kwa haraka, alafu tuangalie performance zetu za last time also tuliperform vipi. These are the matches for this week. Karaoke, hizo games unazonaje? Ziko sawa ama kuna game unaona ni kama inaenda mfange hivi?
Right, just like Hassan is saying, these are the 10 games that we have decided to pick this week. And you can see there is Muranga Seal is going to be facing Shabana. We had initially talked of AFC facing Gor Mahia, but the match was postponed, so we decided to put Muranga Seal facing Shabana. And we have City Stars, Tusker, Bournemouth versus Brighton. Remember, the English Premier League is resuming this weekend, so definitely Bournemouth will be facing Brighton tomorrow. We have Everton versus Brentford also tomorrow. Man City versus Spurs later on at 7:30 tomorrow on Saturday. And of course, that's a game that we're going to be talking about later on. Remember, Man City has lost 4 consecutive games, so we'll be discussing that also. Dortmund versus Freiburg. There is also AC Milan versus Juventus. It's also a game that we're going to be looking forward to, and it's actually a derby, so we are going to be discussing about it. Also, Napoli facing Roma. Sevilla is going to be facing Rayo Vallecano. Atletico Bilbao will be facing Real Sociedad. Those are the 10 games that we are going to be looking forward to this weekend. This is the week's sleep. You see how we are going to be performing. But of course, Nani Hassan, hizo mechi 10 ambazo tumeweza ku-select, I believe that ni mechi ambazo zina umuhimu wake. Maybe let me bring in, before we go back to Hassan, I bring in Sedo. Sedo, we've talked, and Hassan has said that you're going to talk much about AFC versus Leopard. But what do you think about Muranga Seal versus Shabana before we take it back to Hassan?
You know, the trajectory of the Kenyan soccer has been quite slippery, and not necessarily that is that okay, it's competitive in its own level,
right.
But when it comes to the likes of Muranga Seal, this is a team that was just promoted the other day to Kenya Premier League, and has been actually really tormenting the so-called big win of this particular league. We have seen actually what it played against FC Leopard. It ended up winning against FC Leopard with 1 goal, and then it went ahead to pick a draw from Gor Mahia. It really brings the permutation of this team actually starting to earmark the space and getting to understand, right, that there's no any other big the so-called big wings in this particular league. And if we have that belief in ourselves, we can as well as go ahead and maybe happen to win this particular league. And that urge of picking 4 points from Gor Mahia and FC Leopard, I think, has motivated them. And any team that will gonna face Muranga Seals will face with that particular magnitude. Similarly to Shabana, you understand, the force behind Shabana has been the community.
Right.
And they really work with this team wherever they go. And that pressure of not dropping point, that pressure of not losing in front of their fan actually pushes them. It becomes like a very entertaining kind of matches when these two teams meet. The other that is has on a high, actually riding on a high, and the other one is being driven by the community. Right. When they meet, that force brings the value.
Game to watch on our football sleep or this week's sleep here. But also away from this, Sedo, this week Kenya has lost the opportunity to move to the AFCON. And of course, Kipchumba Murkomen, the Cabinet Secretary for Sports, has something to say about this. And definitely, I want us to listen to that. Then we are going to be going back to Hassan and have a feel of what is happening at Eldoret City. So if we have the bite for Murkomen on the Engine Firat, the coach, the Harambee Stars coach, after Harambee Stars lost the opportunity for the 2025 AFCON.
The qualification for AFCON Cup of Nations, I saw everybody saying, now sack the coach, and they're saying, Mr. Minister, sack the coach. they can never believe that there's an institution called FKF who has the exclusive responsibility to hire and fire the coach. And of course, I am aware that in the agreement of FKF with the coach was that if he doesn't qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations, that relationship is disengaged. And since we were the ones who are funding as a ministry, we will, upon the period being attained and the circumstances that have befallen the coach as a result of that first failing to qualify, of course, rather obvious that we will implement that section of the law, and we will not remit any further resources beyond the period that was agreed.
That definitely means that there is a lot to be done in matters to do with coaching the Harambee Stars. And Murkomen says that they are going also to look into in matters to do with that. Before I take it to Hassan, quick reaction, Sedo, Engine Firat, is it the right time, or is it fair to fire him after failing to qualify for the AFCON 2025 rather?
To me, it's quite fair, given that he has lost everything. And I too particularly think that even he's not in command of the dressing room. And by so talking about the dressing room, we have seen actually what has been happening to some of the players. Some of the players who maybe are at their ultimate stage of maybe getting retired, not really feeling so well to work under the tutelage of Engine Firat. And if you draw back to how Kenya actually has been struggling there's no way Kenya used actually to grace Africa Cup of Nations when teams were 8. And when they were actually being elevated to 16, Kenya still could grace Africa Cup of Nations. I remember in 1982, the so-called actually Michael Koch, who is the father of Origi, Origi,
right.
When he was so young at that particular time. Kenya was gracing this Africa Cup of Nations that was being played in Senegal. And we ended up playing very well, despite the factor that surrounded that particular team at that time. And we have been doing wonders if it comes to Africa Cup of Nations. Reinhard Fabisch came in here, actually disbanded the entire team, went around the school, assembled junior players, some were 18, Tilen Oguta, 19, Ken Simeo and everything, and they did wonders. They actually put a smile on our faces.
Yes.
So come here, Engine Firat, and he started actually bringing the PR that we have seen from him, singing here and everything. Actually, he was behaving like he was a media personnel for the federation, but the results were not really quite impressive. And
from that, do you think we are ready for 2027 as a team? Forget about the infrastructure.
As a Kenyan, I probably think...
And definitely we have qualified for 2027.
We have
automatically.
Similarly to what happened to Chan. You know, this question and permutation of 2027 does not fall far from what has happened to us to Chan. Here we have been beaten by Sudan, which is a very young nation in a football fraternity. But we will still grace by the virtue of hosting. Are we ready for Chan? No. The question is not simply because our feeder league, which is being commanded by the federation, is not quite giving us the very ripe kind of player who can give us results. So I don't think if we are ready even for 2027, if we can go back, we can't go back to the drawing board and try assembling a team that will really grace us, give us the value that we are looking for in a 2 years period. Then I will just say that, guys, we are sorry to grace this Africa Cup. We will rather cede that particular position to our neighboring countries and then prepare for more.
So you're saying we give it to Rwanda? Or maybe. Now Hassan, najua umekaa pale unasikiliza tunayosema hapa with Sedo. What do you think? Is it the right time maybe to bring in another coach, or should we give Engine Firat more time maybe to prepare for 2027? Definitely we have Chan that is coming up.
Kariuki, kocha akishindwa kufanya kazi bwana si anatimuliwa, manake amepatiwa kazi ndio timu ifuzu katika nafasi nyingine, sio? Engine Firat alipojiunga na timu ya taifa Harambee Stars aliingia na mabezo, akasema kwamba yeye bwana, na shirikisho pia akasema dimba la AFCON, dimba la Morocco mwaka ujao, mwaka 2025 watafuzu. Na tupokuwa tukisikia wakati wote pale baada ya matokeo yameenda mvange, anazungumza anasema wajua kila saa analomu mara analomu ule, lakini ni mfumo wake, yeye alishindwa kuhimili kudhibiti kikosi. Maana Kenya ina wachezaji wazuri sana. Kenya ni mojawapo ya nchi ambazo zimestawi, wachezaji ambao wana uweledi, lakini kama kocha haleti ule uwiano, utamlaumu nani? Na pia nakumbushe na mwenzangu Davis Mbere ambaye amejiunga nami. Davis Mbere, kauli ya waziri Kipchumba Murkomen kwamba Engine Firat ameshindwa mikoba hii ya uongozi wa timu ya taifa Harambee Stars. Sasa angatuke, manake anasema kuna shinikizo kutoka kwa mashabiki, washikadau. Anasema kwamba kocha yote ule, ukiangalia Uingereza, ukiangalia timu zote za hadhi barani Afrika, Cameroon, Nigeria, Super kocha akishindwa malengo, manake na kukabidhi jukumu fulani, ukishindwa
timiza malengo yako,
ukishindwa sio ngatuka.
Kandarasi inaelekeza hivyo. Na hisi kwamba Waziri Murkomen amezungumza kauli ya wengi, amezungumza kauli ya Wakenya wengi na mashabiki hasa wa soka ambao walikuwa hawawezi zungumza kwa pamoja. Amezungumza nafsi jinsi wangezungumza, sauti yao imesikika. Na hisi kwamba kwake Engin Firat, inafaa tuangalie mikataba ambayo hasa tunaingia ndani na hao makocha, hasa wale wa kutoka nchi za kigeni ambao wanakuja kuongoza timu zetu. Hatufai kuingia katika mkataba ambao hasa utaweza kututumbukiza katika kisa ambacho tunashuhudia sasa hivi. Manake
inatutia kitanzi.
Mikataba ambayo inatutia kitanzi, manake sasa hivi nahisi kwamba iwapo tutaweza kukatiza mkataba wa Engin Firat, tutaweza kuingia mfukoni kwa sana ili tuweze kumlipa hela ndefu zaidi.
Sasa bro, zungumza mambo ya mikataba, na kuna mikataba ya kina Adani ambayo tulikatiza.
Imekatizwa. Lakini nafurahia jinsi Wizara ya Michezo imejitokeza kasema kwamba sisi ndio tunafadhili mkataba huu, ndio ulitiwa sahihi na shirikisho na refa, lakini sisi ndio tunatoa fedha ambazo mwisho wa siku ni mshahara wa kocha.
Pia nikuulize swali, maana umeingilia mambo ya mkataba sana, nikuulize swali moja. Engin Firat, mshahara wake analipwa na serikali au sio?
Naam.
Pembeni kwa zungumza na Waziri wa Michezo Kipchumba Murkomen, anasema haya mashirikisho mengine, wakufunzi wa kitaifa, mashirikisho ndio yanatoa hela. Harambee Stars sijui waonaje hapo?
Nahisi kwamba Harambee Stars, unajua soka ni baadhi ya michezo mikubwa na baadhi ya kivunio kikuu cha taifa. Na ukitaka kuweka bendera ya Kenya kimataifa, unatumia soka ama utumie raga ama utumie riadha. Na soka ni mojawapo ya baadhi ya fani kubwa ambazo zinafuatiwa kwa kubwa. Na hii inamaanisha kwamba iwapo serikali haitaingia kati kufadhili baadhi ya mambo ambayo yanaendelea katika shirikisho, hatutaweza kwenda mbele. Ndio maana ikawa shirikisho liweze kuzungumza na wizara ingilie kati, serikali iweze kufadhili mshahara wake. Lakini Hassan, pakubwa mimi niko na shida na kandarasi ambao tunazingia ndani. Zisiwe kandarasi ndefu. Lakini mbona
zisiwe ndefu kwanza? Pili, mambo yawekwe paruwanja, yani yawekwe wazi tu. Ujamaa mambo ni hivi,
mkataba uko hivi.
Manake Kenya kuna kitu ambacho kinanikera sana, ni vigumu kupata hata kandarasi ya mchezaji. Lakini wewe unajua kocha wa Manchester United aliwa pesa ngapi? Ruben Amorim, kocha mpya wa Manchester United. Unajua
na ikaiko mkataba kwamba mkataba unaanza leo unamalizika.
Unatamatika. Na Erik ten Hag alishindwa akapigwa kalamu. Na tunajua kandarasi katizwa anapata pesa ngapi, si ndio? Lakini hapa bwana mambo ni giza, ni kama ndani ni siri sana. Nikukatiza kidogo. Tuangalie timu ambazo zimefuzu katika dimba la AFCON ambayo itaandaliwa kule nchini Morocco mwaka 2025. Daniel Karaoke, these are the teams that have qualified. I mean, look at the teams and give me your assessment. I mean, what do you make of these teams? And some of the big teams have not qualified. Karaoke.
Definitely, there are 24 teams that have qualified, Hassan, and of course Morocco has qualified by the virtue of the fact that they are going to be hosting the tournament, Sedo. And maybe I just take you through some of the teams that have qualified. We have Senegal, Egypt, Nigeria, Algeria, Cote d'Ivoire, we have Tunisia, Cameroon, Mali, Congo, DR Congo, we have also Cameroon, we have Tunisia, Zambia, South Africa, and also Uganda and Tanzania have qualified. These two teams are from the East African country. And the other day I saw a cartoon of the Ugandans and Tanzanians saying that wale wenzetu ni kimombo tu, lakini hawako kwa maswala ya nini, maswala ya 2025. what do you think about the two countries qualifying, Tanzania and Tunisia? I've been keen to watch Tanzania play. I don't think it has really done quite a lot to have made it to the AFCON 2025 compared to other teams.
I quite agree on you on the point that Tanzania was not quite convincing. Watching them playing against Guinea, I think Guinea was a better team if it comes to ball possession, moving the ball around, ball carriers in that particular Guinea team, you could enjoy. But then again, I also like that they were neutralizing the so-called danger personalities in that particular game, like Wesu Guisare, could not actually see any, but no one actually could pin out that he was in that particular team, yet having actually been nominated as a Ballon d'Or player and also bagging in goals in Europe. Remember, in Bundesliga, he's one of the players that actually become a danger man to any team that has faced. But Guinea not really qualifying, Tanzania qualifying to the advantage of Guinea is quite a kind of a thing that they need to be celebrating. It also tells a story of a nation team that has gone, or a country that has gone back actually to the grassroots, or maybe to support their whatever called feeder team, to bring in players that can give them whatever they want to smile about. And if you go by this player that really helped Tanzania to qualify for Africa Cup of Nations, I think the 75% of this player plays in the Tanzanian league. It means their league is really working for them. Yeah. And why they picked on struggling, if I may, that's my own opinion. I think that their league also has really invited so many foreigners. It's quite actually adorable when watching their clubs playing maybe at the continental level, the championship and everything, simply because a club like Yanga has got like 4, 5, 6 foreign players, the likes of Ziggy, Azizi, those are the foreign players. When they come in, they bring in the value, but what has helped them, that value they bring in has made this Tanzanian player actually to pull up their socks, and now they are producing result. Another surprising angle that maybe the whole African continent, vis-a-vis even the continent, is really not as in getting the result with a quite surprising angle.
Right.
Is Ghana missing out
in the
Africa Cup of Nations.
Yes, and definitely Ghana has missed the tournament, and we have other big teams, Tunisia and Nigeria here and there. What's your take? Which team do you think will make it to the finals? I know it's still too early because it happens in February, but which team do you think maybe might make it to the finals?
The perennial, I think, powerhouse of Africa, apart from Ghana, are all in to see that particular ground. Right. And we can see actually the angle of tilting. What's really making it maybe not quite predictable to many is the number of teams that now the Africa Cup of Nations is really, because there are now 24 teams. 24 teams. And the 24 permutation team does not actually present that you are the sole favorite. Remember, people will put their cards on Morocco, given to how it actually worked in World Cup. But immediately from World Cup, Morocco actually, they were shown us in Africa Cup of Nations at Ivory Coast, if you remember. That does not represent that they are the powerhouse. And if you go by how they have qualified, by the virtue that they were hosting, still they qualified convincingly. By and they produced, even Brahimi Diaz was the top scorer with 7 goals. And it has got all those players that you can really pick and place everywhere. All angles. It's the team that in Africa that has actually shown us the grace and the urge of challenging the European teams.
Right, that is AFCON, of course, and we've talked about it. Before we take it to Hassan, I want us to run through this week's slip once again, so that I remind the viewer about this week's slip. These are the matches that we are looking forward to, the 10 magical matches that we are going to be looking forward to. We have 2 games from here in the country this weekend. We are having at least 3 from the EPL. We're also having Dortmund, Freiburg, AC Milan, Juventus, Napoli, Roma, Sevilla, Rayo Vallecano, Atletico Bilbao, and Real Sociedad. Those are the teams that we are looking forward to this weekend in our week's slip this week. And I believe that this week I might be the best in terms of scoring. We are going to be looking at the results of the previous slip. Last week we had at least 10 games, and these were the games that were playing. Definitely we've talked about Tanzania playing Ethiopia. Tanzania won 2-0. Guinea played DR Congo 1-0. Libya was just 0-0. Sudan, Angola 0-0. Kenya, Namibia, that's where we lost and we missed out in the 2025 2025 tournament. Turkey 0-0 versus Wales. Netherlands beat Hungary 4-0. Sweden 2-1 versus Slovakia, and Austria 1-1 versus Slovenia. And Italy was beaten by France 3-1. That is how the results were, last week's results. These are the results for last week, and we are going to be looking to see how Hassan scored, how Robbie scored, how I scored. I was not around, and Robbie took time to say that he was going to beat me in terms of the results this week. Let's see how the situation will be. For now, I want to take it to Hassan in Eldoret, the capital city. Oh, not the capital city. It is the new city in the country, Eldoret City. Hassan.
Kabisa ni jiji hili la Eldoret County ya Uasin Gishu. Tupo unajua katika utangulizi wangu staftahi ya makala haya ya The Football Slip, kwamba nilisomea mji huu wa Eldoret, na nilipokuwa shule upili huku majumba hayakuwa makubwa sana hapa, lakini hapa tulipo sasa bwana ni jumba jipya, jumba kubwa, Daima Towers. Mandhari mazuri, tunlishwa na hoteli hapa Wings 23. Tunshiba, tukakula vizuri, chakula kizuri, Daima Towers. Yani unapanda hapa hata kazi watembea tu, angalia tu jiji hili tamu sana, jiji hili la Eldoret Uasin Gishu. Kwa hivyo usiku mambo ni hivi tu. Kwa hivyo si Nairobi tu ambapo kuna hizi shamra bwana, pia huku mambo yako hivi. Tutarejea baada ya muda usio mrefu, lakini kama Karuki alivyokueleza baadhi ya mechi ambazo tunaziangazia hii leo katika The Football Slip. Murang'a Seal dhidi ya Shabana, City Stars dhidi ya Tusker, Bournemouth dhidi ya Brighton, Everton dhidi ya Brentford, Manchester City mabingwa washikilizi hao wako nyumbani dhidi ya Tottenham Hotspur, au sio? Alafu Dortmund dhidi ya Freiburg, AC Milan dhidi ya Juventus, Napoli dhidi ya AS Roma, Sevilla dhidi ya Rayo Vallecano, kisha Atletico de Bilbao dhidi ya Real Sociedad. Lakini tukirejea tutaangazia matokeo ya wiki jana, mambo yalikuwa kwaje. Huyu Robinson Okenye wajua ndio huwa anajipiga kifua sana, shinda siji 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, sijui nini. Anaumwa na kichwa, hata ameshindwa kufanya makala kwa sababu anaumwa na kichwa. Kwa nini? Tumemkwangura. Tutarejea baada ya muda usiokuwa mrefu. Tuko hapa na mwenzangu Davis Mberia. Usingatuke, usibanduke. Ni makala ya The Football Slip.